I, 34 male, had a child 10 years ago, Nova, female. I was a terrible person back then. I didn't stay in her life and I deeply regret it. A few months ago, I contacted her mom to see if I could see my child. She happily agreed to co-parent with me and seemed relieved, which was understandable considering she had 4 other kids, all younger than Nova. Nova was a bit distant at first, but now we're doing better. She's generally a terrific kid, but I realized that no punishment seems to work on her, and that she can be very disrespectful at times. If I tell her to do something as a punishment, she won't do it, or if I ground her, she'll leave without my permission. I asked her mom how she punishes her, and she said she had never punished her before. What I've heard from Nova is that it seems as if she would cuss her out and yell at her, which I don't think are good punishments for a kid. 2 nights ago, Nova asked me if she could live with me. I told her I'd love it, but she could live with me with one condition. She had to follow my rules and be respectful. She didn't say anything after that. After she went back to her mom's house, my mom, who was there when Nova asked me this, told me I was an idiot, because if a kid is asking her deadbeat dad to take her in, there must be something very wrong. So you don't make conditions for her, you just say yes and take her in. Was I really wrong to have this condition? I can't be a parent if she doesn't listen to me, but now both my mom and daughter refuse to talk to me. Her mom will likely have no problem with this. She seems too busy with her other kids, and I think she'd like being the weekend's fun parent, so that's not a problem. Oh my gosh, you are the idiot. I think you're trying to do what you think is best, but I agree with your mom. Your daughter living with you shouldn't be conditional. If it works for everyone, you say yes, then work on communication and discipline. You're not the only one who has to learn. She does too. If she had no discipline whatsoever, she'd be stepping into a whole different world, and it might be difficult to adjust. She's just a kid who hasn't had the best or fairest life, by the sounds of things. You possibly hurt her and let her down, thinking that's all you care about and don't want trouble. Guys acting like him reappearing after 10 years and raising his kid is a huge favor to his daughter she has to earn. Hey OP, how many conditions did your daughter give you for returning to her life after so many years of abandonment? This poor little girl probably thinks she's the worst behaved child, based on how her mom treats her. She probably heard her dad say that and thought, why try? I can't be good with mom, so why would I be any better here? So sad. Imagine what Nova's life must be like at mom's house if she thinks that living with someone she's only known for a few months must be better. OP needs to put himself in the kid's shoes here, instead of approaching from the perspective of, you need to make it easier for me if you want to live here. Your mom is 100% correct. You're a deadbeat who's only interacted with his daughter for a few months, and putting conditions on her? Respect is taught, not demanded. Also, whether you and your daughter's mother approve of her living with you needs to go through the court system. If not, stuff could go sideways quickly, and someone could accuse you of abduction if not done correctly. You also need to know what's happening in her mother's home that makes her want to live with someone she's only known for a few months. I'm a 54-year-old male. My ex-wife is 52. We have been divorced for over 15 years. We had a son together, Michael, who passed away 3 months ago. Michael's girlfriend, Ilhan, is 21 and pregnant, due in October. Her very conservative parents kicked her out for getting pregnant, outside of their religion. My ex was never fond of Ilhan, and reluctantly agreed to share the cost of an apartment with me when I said we should help them with a deposit and the first few payments for their own place. This was just weeks before Michael died. Ilhan stayed in the apartment after his death. I told her already I'll help her out in any way I could. My ex approached me a few weeks ago and asked me to sell the apartment and get our money back. I told her Ilhan really needs it and deserves our help. We both have more than enough money. My ex asked me to sell many times in the past few weeks. Last week we got into a fight about Michael's estate. She wants to sue Ilhan because she doesn't think she should get anything. She asked me again to sell the apartment. It's still in both our names. I told her I'd just pay her for her share of the apartment and let that be it. She gets her money then. She said she doesn't think Ilhan should have the apartment. I told her that she's spiteful and selfish and an idiot who cares about the money and not her daughter-in-law and grandkid, who literally will never know his dad. She cried, called me an idiot, and said I was insensitive about her loss. Not the idiot. Morally, and I'd imagine legally, Michael's unborn child is entitled to Michael's estate over anyone else. You even offered to buy your ex out so you could protect your daughter-in-law and grandchild. If your ex doesn't take you up on that, it'll be fairly obvious that it's not actually about the money, but about your ex's prejudice towards Ilhan. Hasn't Ilhan been through enough? She was kicked out of her family and lost her partner while she was pregnant. Now your ex wants her to be homeless? What makes me angry the most is that she says that OP isn't being sensitive about her loss. Meanwhile, she's trying to kick a 21-year-old pregnant widow who's been disowned by her family out on the street and also sue her for the money that should go to her. Where's her sensitivity towards Ilhan's loss? Yeah, it sounds like his ex-wife isn't looking to be made whole. She just wants to voice her disapproval for Ilhan by throwing her and her unborn child out on the street, one way or another. That's just messed up. Just watch. A few years later, she'll be all, I don't know why I'm not allowed to be the grandmama. I just tried to make the child's mother homeless after my son died. I'd like to bet $20 that the ex will be suing for grandparents' rights, claiming the child is all she has left of her precious baby, and Ilhan is a horrible mother who's homeless and can't provide for the baby and keeps him away from his loving, rich grandma, especially if Ilhan's having a boy. I wouldn't be wholly surprised if X knows this, but figures that if Ilhan is homeless when the baby arrives, it'll be a piece of cake for her to sue for custody of her grandchild. Whereas, as things stand, without OP playing a partner in crime, not only would she be suing to establish a relationship, Ilhan would have OP available to testify that the loving grandma tried to make the child and its mother homeless. Update. First, thank you all so much for your kindness and support. Ilhan and I talked and decided to sell the apartment after hiring a graphic designer that'll make sure Michael's wall drawings become something she can take with her. So she'll move in with me and stay here, then move whenever she's ready. And I'm selling the apartment, and the money will go to my grandson's savings account. Oh, and it's a boy, so my next few months will be spent painting the room and listening about baby names. I'm 22 female. My little sister May's tween legal guardian. She started living with me when I was 18, but I've been raising her since she was a baby because our mom didn't do much, and her dad isn't around. I'm a firm believer in letting kids express themselves, so when May started gravitating toward traditionally masculine things, I didn't force her to do girl stuff. I just let her do what made her happy. She cut her hair and stopped wearing dresses and things like that. We even redecorated her room as dinosaur themed because they're her favorite thing. She's young and it would be dumb to deprive her of joy just because other people think boys should behave one way and girls should behave another. So I've always encouraged her to be and do what makes her happy. May's grandmother, Ann, 60, recently contacted me and asked to see her. She's never met May, and her son, May's dad, hasn't met her. He doesn't even have rights to her. I did agree to let Ann meet her under the condition that May agreed to the meeting and that May's dad wouldn't be present or know about it. She said okay, so we made plans to meet at a restaurant. May picked out a button-up shirt with dinosaurs and some shorts to wear. She just looked so happy with her choices that I didn't consider making her change or anything. When we arrived, Ann was there, but she immediately looked bothered upon seeing May. She asked where her granddaughter was, and when I told her my sister was right here, she immediately went off. She started saying that I never deserved guardianship of May. I'm turning her grandchild into someone she's not, forcing her to be a boy, etc. Finally, we started getting looks from other people, and May was upset by what was happening, so I took her and left the restaurant. I later got another message from Ann saying she plans on taking custody of May because according to her, I'm ruining her. I told my best friend about it, and she said that I should have made May dress differently before taking her to dinner because Ann was obviously from a different time, and I should have been mindful of that. But I feel like if I had done that, then I'd be reflecting on how often I've told my sister that who she is and what she likes to wear and do is nothing to be ashamed of. I don't know what to do. I don't think I should have made May change her outfit just to go meet a woman she doesn't even know. And I don't even think letting May be herself is wrong either. But if it could have helped avoid any issues with Ann, maybe I should have asked May to tone it down. Am I an idiot because I didn't do that? 100% not the idiot. And don't be afraid of her stupid threats. She's not got a leg to stand on. Neither does she seem to have anything to offer your sister. I think you did great. And bonus, Anne revealed her truth earlier rather than later, so you can wave bye-bye. Her granddaughter is a tween, and this is the first time she's met her, and the first thing she does is complain about how she's dressed. She made a scene in public, and this was undoubtedly upsetting to her grandchild, but she thinks she deserves custody? You're letting May be May. Nothing is wrong or bad about that. But if Grandma was so worried, where was she 4 years ago when her baby granddaughter needed a guardian? Imagine going to a judge and saying, she's an unfit guardian because she allows the girl to have short hair and wear a shirt with dinosaurs. I can't imagine that a family court would give that argument a minute's consideration. I suggest cutting off contact with toxic grandma. OP, you're doing the right thing by showing your sister that she doesn't need to pretend to be someone she's not just to please others, especially not people who've never cared about her before. It's not your or May's problem that Anne cannot move past the gender role she was raised with. You might want to get legal advice in case Anne tries to get custody. This sounds ridiculous because it is. I, 27 male, don't want children. I've never wanted children. My wife Liz, 26, is aware of this. I'm in the camp of, if it's not a resounding, I want this with my entire heart and soul yes, then it's a no. I think kids are cool, wonderful, and major sources of joy in life. Do I want to be responsible for raising one? Nope. Before getting engaged about a year and a half ago, I lived with my best friend, 28 male, and had done so for nearly a decade of my life. He and I each adopted a dog while living together and call each other co-parents. We have doggy playdates regularly, and I'm over at his place multiple times a week because of this. This morning, my wife brought up the subject of children. As I said, she's aware of the fact that I don't want them. Her sister recently gave birth to our niece, and while looking at the photos, Liz said, "Wouldn't it be nice if we had a baby?" Or something along those lines. I responded, "I'm already the co-parent of 2 babies, and I don't have room for any more." She got angry at me and said I wasn't taking her or the concept of parenthood seriously. I told her I had no reason to take this conversation or the concept of our parenthood seriously because we will never have kids. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm not sure why she went ahead and married you, knowing you never wanted to have children and she did. Having children's not something that you can compromise on. Either she'll be unhappy or you'll be resentful for the child that comes. You need to address this with her ASAP so she can decide if she wants to live with that or find someone who wants to give her children. What? It sounds like your wife wants to discuss potentially having children. If that's never going to happen with you, that's fine. But why would you not respond with, "Are you thinking seriously about having children?" instead of completely dismissing the conversation? If she's changed her mind and wants kids, that deserves more discussion about the future of your relationship beyond, "LOL, I'm a dog dad, that's all for me," and then ending the conversation. You are the idiot. This was my take as well. He's not wrong for restating his original feelings about children. He's the idiot for how he went about it. From what we see anyway, I'd say the original joke was fine, but turned serious very quickly, and OP still wanted to joke. She's your partner. She's entitled to have a serious conversation with you without you being dismissive and pompous. Info. Have you gotten your vasectomy yet? That would end the argument. If not, why the heck not? Or are you still a little on the fence? It's a matter of time before she becomes pregnant. Next up, my wife told me she wanted to talk about children, so I got a vasectomy without telling her. Am I the idiot? If they're married, it's not just her problem. So when you potentially have a change of heart that could end your marriage, you have that discussion with your partner, right? You don't just think about it on your own for weeks and then hand them divorce papers one day and walk out the door without talking about it. My partner and I, 29 male and 32 male, have been together for a decade now. We've discussed marriage before, but it's always one of those we'll get to it when we get to it things. We're in love, we've lived together for years, we've both got steady incomes, Basically, all we haven't done is acquired the special piece of paper and have a party with family. My sister's wedding was this past weekend, and it brought up a lot of unexpected feelings. My partner and I have never been particularly bothered with the idea of a big wedding, and we're still planning on keeping things small. But there was something special about that night. We've been to plenty of lovely weddings together before, but something felt different. In a private moment just between us two, I asked him to marry me, and he accepted. There was no big show, no getting down on one knee, just an intimate moment between us during the reception. We didn't tell anyone that night or even for a few days. We had a little family visit yesterday, though, to see my sister and her new husband before they left for their honeymoon. My partner and I said how beautiful their wedding was and how moved we were, and told the story of that special moment that she helped facilitate, even if it wasn't intended. Instead of happiness, we were met with anger. She argued that it was disrespectful and undermined her event, that we were trying to steal her thunder. I wasn't even planning on sharing this story with anyone but mine and my husband's immediate families and friends. I also thought it was harmless because we didn't call attention to ourselves. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot for the timing when sharing that story with your family. Why did you have to do it at an event where you were still seeing your sister off for her honeymoon? You could have easily delayed the news until after the honeymoon and left out that part about the proposal happening at the wedding, and everything would have been fine. How were you expecting them to react? Waiting a couple of weeks and leaving it at, "Your wedding inspired us to follow suit," would have made all the difference. Now you've ruined your own wedding on top of your sister's. How would OP be ruining his future wedding? And more importantly, to the relevance here, how did he ruin his sister's wedding? The wedding went off without issue. Nothing was changed or affected by the proposal aside from OP and his husband, and nobody, including the bride herself, would know anything different if OP didn't say anything. How could you steal thunder if no one knew? Come on, enjoy your upcoming nuptials. Not the idiot. Don't propose at someone else's wedding is a pretty common rule, but in this case, I feel like the sister's upholding it for the sake of the rule, rather than because it makes sense. It's more about don't hijack someone else's event. If it was a quiet moment with just the two of you, no one else noticed, you didn't cause a scene, and no one jumped on a table and announced it to everyone present, I think you're okay, as long as you don't make a big deal out of it in the future, and don't advertise that you got engaged at your sister's wedding. And don't bring up your engagement anytime someone talks about your sister's wedding. Agreed. This was not a steal the mic and serenade your love on the dance floor moment. They didn't mention this very private moment for days afterward. Let me guess. Was your sister one of those who tells her bridesmaids not to get pregnant before the wedding because she doesn't want invitees paying attention to someone else? Geez, folks need to get over themselves.